Hey guys, this is Comic You Know, and today I'm doing a review for Fuller House. So let's start talking about the show. I'm actually doing a whole overview of the season, a review for the season. So this will have spoilers if you haven't seen the show yet, or if you don't mind spoilers, you can continue watching the review. But let's start talking about what this whole show is about. It's a revival slash sequel to the 90s slash late 80s sitcom Full House, and just to give a little background on my I guess relationship with Full House is that I've seen this show so many times that I honestly got tired of watching it. So I haven't seen Full House, you know, I would say a full episode of Full House in a while, but I remember every episode because as a kid, again, I used to watch this show over and over again, and it was one of my favorite shows growing up. And of course, I watched it in syndication because I was born in 1994, so I do not remember when the show actually was on air. But yeah, let's start talking about what this show is about. With this revival, we get to see DJ is now a single mom, so she actually gets the help of her sister Stephanie and her best friend Kimmy to help raise her 3 children. Wow, this premise sounds very, very similar. We get to see a lot of the main characters come back. Most of the time it was just for one episode, though. They did all come back for the first episode. But then after that, you saw Uncle Jesse in an episode, and then Becky in another episode, or, you know, Joey in another. So they kind of split up episodes. And, like, Bob Saget was in, you know, Danny was in one episode, which I kind of liked that idea, that they weren't all cluttered into an episode. I thought it worked better that, you know, Joey showed up for one episode instead of, like, 5 episodes. I thought it worked better. But yeah, that's what pretty much this whole entire show's about. It's very much, and I would say very similar to the original show, premise-wise. So what I think overall, what were my overall thoughts? Now, I will say I've heard the horrible reviews the show's getting, but the reviews I've been seeing, a lot of people are comparing it to other Netflix shows, like Orange is the New Black or House of Cards, and do not you know, relate this show to House of Cards or Orange is the New Black or Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. It's not a really smart comedy, but Full House never was like this ultimate show. It was cheesy. It was, you know, emotional in places probably it shouldn't have been emotional. It wasn't a great show, but it was a nostalgic show that I think you could have fun with if you shut off your brain. And that goes for this show also. If you enjoy the original Full House, I think you'll get a kick out of this one. They give you references galore. It's kind of interesting to see these characters, what is it, like 20 years later? I thought that was an interesting aspect to see where these characters have grown or haven't grown in the future. That's definitely the part that I enjoy the most. Is it a funny show? Honestly, I laughed a couple of times. I thought it was pretty funny, but you have to turn off your brain. The plots in the show, they don't always work, and you know, if I ever re-binge the show, I don't know if there's a particular episode I'd be like, oh my god, I love that plot, I love that story. I think it's more of there's moments I enjoyed in every episode, and there are some good character moments between the 3 girls, and I think that's the most important part, is to enjoy the 3 main characters, and for the most part I really did. I thought they were enjoyable. Now, before I get into which aspects of the 3 girls I enjoyed, our 3 main characters, I do want to talk about the kids, because they are the newest aspect of the show. And I will say, they kind of had a struggle in the beginning of the show. I mentioned in my episode 1 review, the little kid, you could tell, was dubbing some of his lines, but I thought they got really good towards the end of the show, or the season. I thought they had their own character arcs, they had their own personalities, and they actually had interesting stories that I was interested in. So I thought that was great, and they actually were pretty good kid actors. The same type of acting style that you saw in the original. So the kids were pretty likable, and that's, I think, the biggest thing that needed to happen here. Now, talking about our 3 main characters, Kimmy, Stephanie, and DJ. Honestly, I think out of the 3, the weakest character was DJ. I feel DJ, she was still a strong character, but I felt more of a connection to Kimmy and Stephanie. I thought they had the better lines. Now, again, I think DJ was a good main character, but a lot of the love interest stuff kind of got in the way of her actual story. A lot of the back end of the season is actually about making fun of The Bachelor, and Steve being a total creep, which was so weird. As much as I like seeing Steve again, he was pretty creepy and totally hated that whole entire arc. But yeah, I kind of wish they didn't focus so much on that, and they focused on the friendship of the three girls, and in this bond they kind of created. I wouldn't say any character really grew from the beginning of the season to the end, which maybe I will say the character that grew the most was Stephanie. And honestly, that's the reason that I think Stephanie was the best part of the show, and really was the reason I enjoyed the show. It was really cool to see Stephanie grow as a character. And there's actually this story in episode 4 where you learn that she can't have children. And I feel if this was a new show, you never knew that character of Stephanie, it wouldn't be as powerful. But since you literally grew up with that character of Stephanie, and then to get to that point where she reveals to her sister that she can't have children after she's, her sister's badgering her to create a family, I thought that was a really, probably the best moment of the whole entire season. So yeah, I like how Stephanie changed as a character throughout the years, and she was very much like an Uncle Jesse type character, but I felt like she was Stephanie at the same time. She wasn't just an Uncle Jesse ripoff. She very much, I feel, because Uncle Jesse grew her up, she took some attributes of his character, but she was still Stephanie and still had her own journey. And I also really liked her friendship with Kimmy, because that was always a really interesting story in the original show, that Stephanie hated Kimmy. And then you kind of see them grow throughout the season, and I think if they did have more seasons, it would be really fun to see even more of a Kimmy-Stephanie dynamic. And that leads me to Kimmy. I thought Kimmy had some really great lines, and all the actors really were good at their comedic timing, because they grew up on being on a sitcom, so of course they're gonna have some good comedic timing. Now again, Kimmy's romance arc could have been a lot better, but I still enjoyed Kimmy as a character, and I'm excited to see where her and her daughter goes. I was a little disappointed that her daughter was so similar to Kimmy, but I like that I guess her daughter was a little bit more popular than Kimmy, and hopefully we get to see a bit more of her daughter have her own type of character in future seasons if the show gets renewed. But yeah, overall the three girls were great, and that's what you wanted for the show. And my final verdict of the show is, no, it's not perfect. The plots are, next to, not horrible, but they're not great by any means. There's a lot of cheesy stuff here. Honestly, the show is a lot raunchier than I thought it was going to be. It's pretty meta, sometimes over the top meta, but if you enjoy the original Full House, if you're nostalgic to that show, I think you're going to have a fun time watching this show. And I think this is a show, if it had more seasons, could grow. Because as I was watching the show, I really was thinking, oh, how about if this character does this in season 3? Because also if you look at Full House season 1, it wasn't the perfect show. And I think the show ended up getting better once we had more seasons. So I think the same thing could happen with Fuller House. And the best show to really compare Fuller House to is Girl Meets World. I did not like the first season of Girl Meets World, but it really improved in season 2, and I think they're already up to season 3. So compare it to shows like that, not Orange is the New Black or Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. You can have a fun and entertaining time with this show if you turn off your brain, and if you just think of the nostalgic things that happened with Full House. So as a Full House revival, I'm rating this as, again, a Full House show. I gave it 4 stars. As a regular show, probably 3 stars, honestly. It's not a great show, but I had a fun time watching it. But let me know in the comments below what you thought of the whole season of Fuller House. Did you enjoy it? Did you like it as a show, or do you agree with the critics that it was kind of a mess? Let me know in the comments below. This is Comic Don't forget to follow me on Twitter. Don't forget to like my Facebook page. Also, description below, there are links for my comic book, Like Father, Like Daughter. And don't forget to like the Facebook page of Like Father, Like Daughter. And guys, if you want more Fuller House talk on Comic Frontline, Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have a whole Fuller House show talking about the show with Jay, of course, my co-host of Media Madness, Alan Mullins, and Jeremy from Mr. J's Comic Book Reviews. So we're going to have a fun time talking about the show and all nostalgia, so look forward to that. So this is Comic and I'll see you guys later. Bye.